In a world with only hot takes,
Two college friends try to cool down sports media.
join Jack and Jared every week as they tackle the biggest stories in the NFL.
And give the reasonable football analysis you won't hear anywhere else.
Welcome to 710 Sports.
Welcome back to 710 Sports with
Jack
and Jared. It's episode 28, going into the divisional round of the NFL playoff season. We're through wild card weekend completely. How about them Cowboys? Had to say it. The obligatory how about them Cowboys.
Gotta say it.
But
sometimes it feels good to be wrong, right, Jared?
Absolutely. I did not think
Right,
the Cowboys would win this one at all. But
that brings your record to 2-4, I believe, right? In predicting the games last week.
3-3.
Correct?
3-3.
3-3.
Yeah. 3-3.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Hey, you're right.
But yeah, no. This was a crazy game. We're going to talk about the Cowboys Bucs game and how that went. We're also going to discuss and pick all the divisional games. We got some really good matchups. I would say that there isn't a bad game, and that's how it should be, right? We're down to like the 8 best teams. So, Jack, any thoughts before we get right into this Cowboys W?
No.
Okay.
Other than the highlight, I was 6-0 in predictions.
That's right.
Last week, got to highlight that. Other than that. And, just like I said in episode 27, I got them all right. That must mean that they went how I expected them to go, right? That's precisely what it means.
Yeah, I'm sure you had that tight game against Miami and Buffalo.
I knew. I predicted it. I predicted Skylar Thompson, But, yes, nothing else.
Definitely. Whatever happens, whatever picks come out, pick whatever Jack says. Okay, go out and bet. And don't let me convince you otherwise of any picks, because you got the hot hand right now.
You can say if you bet and then go bankrupt and have to talk to a judge, you can cite me on it as well as advice. This is okay. That is sarcasm for any judges who are watching this.
This is not a legal podcast.
This is not a legal podcast, nor is it a financial advice podcast.
Yeah, certainly not. Okay. So let's just get right into it.
Yeah.
I want to come out right at the top and apologize to my Cowboys. All right. Plenty of people were not happy. Even some coming after my fandom. Friends, family, wondering how I could possibly pick against the Cowboys. If you're interested in how I could do that, please just go back and watch the prediction video from last week. I outline it. I've just been heartbroken too many times, right? But you know what? The Cowboys come out, and it seemed like everybody proved the haters wrong. No one more so than Dak Prescott, who had maybe the best game of his career: 25 of 33, 305 passing yards, 4 TDs, passing TDs, a rushing TD, and no interceptions, no fumbles. Played a clean game throughout. To highlight sort of where I was wrong about this game pick last week, basically I said I thought that the Bucs would win because I felt like the only way the Cowboys could come up with a W here was with their defense being elite. If they could somehow prevent the Bucs from scoring much at all, maybe a couple field goals, I thought that I didn't think that the offense was going to be super effective, especially considering the Bucs defense was getting a lot of people back in the back end, as well as they were just getting healthier, it seemed, as the season rolled towards the playoffs.
Ryan Jensen started that game when I think he was out all the season potentially, but he started the game.
So it just seemed like, and of course Tom Brady being the X factor. The defense, actually, you might say, okay, they scored they only allowed 14 points. That is good. But the Bucs on average are scoring 17 points in the season. I mean, this is a bad Bucs offense. So they didn't actually do anything particularly special. Tom Brady threw the ball 66 times for some reason. The Bucs are the Bucs should have committed to the run even when they were down. But even when it wasn't out of hand, even when it was like 14-17-0, they refused to run the ball. And it's ridiculous. 13 run attempts versus 66 pass attempts.
I mean, they can't. And obviously part of that is once you start, like, is when you're not running much. If it's like obvious run scenario, they'll be ready for the run. Like, I get that, but and I'm checking. So what were they at? 5.9 yards a game. That's a lot better than I thought. I was about to look at this and expect it to be like 1.
Yes.
Like, oh, okay. They rushed 7 times, but they like got a yard each time.
Fournette was not running good, but White
that's
was.
better than I would have thought. Yeah,
and you know why? Because Dallas's defense is bad against the run. They have a poor run defense, a very good pass defense.
That's right.
It seemed like to me, it just felt like, okay, I think that maybe the Cowboys will put up 21. Dak will probably throw a couple of picks. Can the defense hold them to 10, 13, something like that? Can the Cowboys, just squeak out a tough win?
Squeak it out.
Right? Can the defense take control of the game? Can Michael Parsons? Now, like I said, the defense played good, but not stellar. It was the offense who jumped out to this 17-0 lead. I think it was 24-0 at some point.
Something like that.
Like, it was really, completely mistake-free football. And really, the other thing is, I've been hammering them. They must have finally listened that this team is undisciplined, right? With not running the right routes, with Dak squeezing the ball into triple coverage for some reason, with the penalties, just the boneheaded mistakes and errors. Guess what? 2 penalties for 15 yards in this game. 2 penalties. The Dallas Cowboys an entire game.
No turnovers. No turnovers.
No turnovers. No miscommunications. Literally the only thing that went wrong was Maher could not make a PAT to save his life. That was the only thing. He
made one that may have quite literally saved his career at the Cowboys. If they rolled him out for that 5th one, and he shanked 5 in one game to surpass the record by 1, like cushion, like secure his lead for most missed extra points. I think that may have been a step too far. That may have been a bridge the Cowboys could not cross. Right. But he made one, right? 1 for 5. I mean, it's definitely that was a bit crazy, especially considering he missed more in that game than he missed in the entire regular season. He was 50 for 53, I think the number was, in the regular season, and he missed 4 in a row. That's what I was saying. I was torn between take him out, like, come on, stop, you're just having him go up here and just kick his confidence away, but then I was also thinking, but at the same time, you're up so much, you got to try to let him get it out of his system. Like you don't want this to happen next week. You already know you're going to win, right? There was the game, 8 of those points were on a touchdown 2-point conversion that were like garbage time, like nearly at that point. I think it may have been like 10 minutes left, but at that point it was 31-6, I believe, when they scored that touchdown. The Bucs, like, the game was over. Like,
I guess
that's
maybe the defense
get it out of your
slightly
system.
better than I'm giving them credit for, because that was kind of a garbage time.
And I would say some notes I'll say the defense, although part of it is also on Brady, which we'll touch on in a second, but potentially Brady. But I mean, that was Brady's first time getting shut out as a Buccaneer, right? That was his 3rd season as Buccaneer. He had never been shut out in a half. That's what I meant to say. He had never been shut out in a half as a Buccaneer up until this game. 3 whole seasons, including a Super Bowl playoff appearance last year, and then that was playoff appearance. First time getting shut out in a half. A lot. It was his first time getting shut out in a half since 2002, I believe, or 2001. That's what I mean to say. It was his first red zone interception. That's what it was. It was his first red zone interception since 2019. That's what I meant. It was his first time getting shut out in a half since, I think, literal decades, I believe. Like more than one. Which is that's a great defensive job. I think part of that might land on Brady, though, and it might land on him because he was definitely more shaky in the pocket. One thing that's helped his longevity is that he can be willing to take a sack. But he was looking awfully willing to take a sack, like definitely more cagey under pressure. Which, I mean, he's 46, I think, 45. Yeah. Like I get it in that sense, but it's also, and I mean, this season was always a bit of a write-off season potentially for Brady. I mean, there was like we run through, he skipped a bunch of trade, like he came back out of retirement late. There was that whole debacle at the beginning of the season where he came out of retirement, Then he missed a bunch of training camp. He went to a wedding the night before a game, I believe, or the day before, like something like that. It was like a Friday. It was like
wedding or something, right?
Yeah, Robert Kraft's wedding. He went to that and like had a game the next day, sort of thing. I forget the precise dates, but still, like he was up wherever Robert Kraft was getting married, owner of the Patriots, for those who don't know. So I'd imagine I wouldn't think it's right in his backyard. I don't know, Brady's backyard. I mean, sorry, mistook myself. But it's like I think that the O-line trouble, miscommunication, like I could see part of this being Brady, like willingly or not, like I think part of the weakness might have been less Dallas's defense, more Brady, or not to discount that, like right, because obviously the amount of pressure they were getting was causing this, right? This is not to say like I'm not in any way insulting the Cowboys defense. It's great. No. However, I think against Patrick Mahomes, frankly, every other quarterback, probably including Brock Purdy, who they'll be playing next week, I think probably would have responded to pressure better than that. Better than the way Brady was. Brady was missing some wide open throws. Okay, some wide open throws, and that there's still, again, like props to the Cowboys defensive line for causing that pressure, but I don't know if you're going to get that as easily against other teams.
Right.
This was probably the weakest team in the playoffs, I would say. The Buccaneers, going into it, like if we ranked them, this team definitely I would have put last.
They have a losing record, and I think it's an excellent point, Jack. Like the bar has gotten so low for the Cowboys that it is a big win for them to beat a losing team. I mean, really?
You just want to go back on your hate train. You just want to go back on that hate.
I do want to
too complimentary.
If we zoom out,
you're right.
Like just in the game, it's like as a fan, right? I'm like, I love it, right? It's fantastic, it's great. But that's because I've never seen a road playoff.
But the next day, the hangover, hangover, like once it hits you,
right. It's like wow, it's the Buccaneers with a 46-year-old Tom Brady who can't hit open receivers. Like it's like, I don't want to give the flowers completely. I want to say, Dak, great game. If you keep doing this, we're going to have a chance against a lot of teams, not just the Buccaneers. But this is one game. And this is what the Cowboys do. They like to, front run, get a little bit ahead of themselves. And the next thing you know, you got 5 holding penalties, 2 picks, a pick 6, 3 fumbles. Et cetera, et cetera. Trayvon Diggs biting on coverages, but we're going to get more into that. Let's get to.
We'll see one of those. We'll see one of those in this divisional weekend. But anyway, continue.
Yeah, let's get into predicting the games here. First off, Kansas City versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is at Kansas City. Obviously, they're the number 1 seed right now. They are 8.5-point favorites, and it's being played Saturday at 4:30. This is kicking off the divisional weekend. Jack, who do you got in this game? What do you think?
Now, I'm gonna keep for the sake of it. Since I was 6, if I was not 6-0, I wouldn't have done this. But since I got all of them right the divisional week, I'm gonna keep all my picks, whether I like it or not. Okay. I do still like it. But for this game, I do have a big caveat I was thinking about for this game. I mean, and it's a combination of things. First of all, the Chiefs have been playing down. I should give context. I predicted the Chiefs to win, and I'm going to stand by that, even with what I'm saying. Even if I wasn't going to hold myself to keeping my original picks, I would have picked the Chiefs anyway. But this Chiefs team has been playing down to competition a lot this year. Still often winning games, right? Often even winning these games when they played down to competition, but still playing down to competition. That's thing 1 for me. Thing 2. I think about last year, and I think about the 1 seeds last year, the Titans and the Packers. Both of those teams were at least like neither of those teams we thought were a team like the Bucs, right? Were this absolutely terrible team. The Packers, Aaron Rodgers was having an MVP performance, right? He won the MVP that year. They still had Devontae Adams. The Titans, Henry was having a near MVP performance. I think he may have been hurt that game. I forget exactly. But my point with this is, both of those teams lost. The 1 seed. It makes me think about, could is there a level of rustiness? Could there be a level of rustiness? Maybe not massive, not enough. You know, if there's going to be an absolutely massive sort of difference between these two teams. But I just wonder, right? I think a lot of people would not have taken the Packers to lose against the 49ers last year. I forget. Maybe they did, and it's different. But that's my sort of thinking, that the Jaguars have proved, like, if hopefully Trevor Lawrence got his funk out in the first half of his first playoff game, if he doesn't throw 4 picks, that game against the Chargers isn't even close. If he doesn't have 4 picks, like with the shellacking they gave him in the second half, even the first half, if there weren't 4 picks, 3 of them to the same guy, I think that would be different. And that just makes me think: I could see those factors making this a much closer than 8.5 point game. And if I'd revise my score, which actually didn't lay my score for this game anyway, but I have a feeling this will be a closer field goal or touchdown, like a 1-score game, basically, is my point. I think this will be a 1-score game. I don't think 8.5, I think it would be way too much for me to bite on. But yeah, those are pretty much my thoughts.
I mean, excellent. I mean, I actually completely agree with you on this one. So hopefully that means that we'll both actually improve the win record. Although you can only make the win record worse. I'll point that out at this point after going 6-0. But yeah, you know, the way I look at this is Kansas City, despite everything you said, they've dropped 1 game to the Colts. That was their only bad loss. Then they lost to the Bills and the Bengals. That's their entire season. Okay. They actually played Jacksonville week 10. Not sure if everybody's familiar with that. But basically in that game, the Jags, they started by kicking an onside kick to start the game. And they recovered. Because that's how Dougie P rolls. We all know the man has, you know, massive kahunas, so to speak.
Yeah.
All right. And so he does that against the Chiefs. The Chiefs proceed to fumble twice in the first half, and Mahomes throws an interception. And Kansas City won 27-17. Okay. They lost the turnover ratio by 3. Trevor Lawrence played pretty decent, no turnovers.
And gave up an onside kick.
And they gave up an onside kick, and they won by 10. Okay. Now, listen, I hear what you're saying, Kansas City. They could be a little bit rusty. The Jags can score quickly. There's something about, I've seen them do it against Dallas. I've seen them do it last week. They can score with that wide receiver group. If Trevor Lawrence is slinging the ball and not turning it over, they can definitely put up some numbers. But I got to take Kansas City here. Kansas City, 34-27.
And I agree. I just want to again clarify. I definitely agree. I definitely think the Chiefs will win. It's more I'm trying to emphasize the close gameness, which you also did. Wait, no, you said 27-34?
34-27. So I think it's a 1 point.
So you also have it. You also have it, a 1 score or a touchdown. Okay, I just want to make sure we're on same sort of page.
Yeah, definitely. To go to the next game, Saturday night, 8:15.
There we go.
A divisional battle in a divisional round. New York Giants are going to Philadelphia to face the Eagles. The Giants are 7.5 point dogs on Saturday night. Jack, what do you think about this matchup?
Now, again, similar, and again, I picked the Eagles to win. I would still 100% do that. And the kind of uneasiness I was applying to the Chiefs, I'm not going to apply to the Eagles, with the caveat of saying this is still a 1 seed. This is still a 1 seed, and I mean, to round out the last tier list we did, I had the 49ers above the Eagles. It's not like I have them as the best team in the conference necessarily. Obviously that's what the playoffs are for. We're going to find that out, but because they very well could be. They're a great team, but I could still see a 1 seed. I would have said all those things I just said about the Packers, 100%. Everything I just said about the Eagles, I would have said about the Packers last year. The one caveat, and the reason I'm going to hammer the Eagles, is the Giants are an amazing story. We talked about it yesterday when we recorded episode 27, right? Danny Dimes had a great game. There's a lot to like there. And if you're a Giants fan, you should be ecstatic about this season. The fact that you're going to have a coach of the year level season for your new coach. Daniel Dimes is looking great this year. There's good stuff to see. Definitely a lot of good stuff to see. But the roster is not that talented. Who are the elite guys on this team? You have Dexter Lawrence, right? That's his. I forgot the last name. Dexter Lawrence. Toss in Danny Dimes and Saquon, and you have 3. Who else? You say Thibodeau had a pretty all right rookie season. I'd say I think he had a decent pressure rate. But I'm not enough for me to put him on the level of those guys. Who else? There's a quarterback like Bradbury. Like they have a couple other players, but this is not a team with the level of talent that the 49ers did last year. This is not some sort of star-studded roster that's a quarterback away or a coach away, like you might call the Chargers. Or it's not like that. This is still a Giants team that is not like this. Like I would not have predicted them to get 5 wins. I don't think.
Yeah,
we
probably
based on
did.
talent.
You can go look back and see. We made these predictions. So
yeah, and so that's the thing. I think is that they're a nice story. Yes, I think there is a potential weakness in a one. Like I can see something there. Potentially, 1 seeds might throw a game you expect them to win, but I don't think the Giants have enough talent. Frankly, I don't think the Giants roster has enough. I think 2 years, like I think this is great. This is great. Not ragging on the Giants. But there's not enough there right now to beat a team with the Eagles who seem to have a lot. So,
I mean, excellent point. So, what do you got a score for this game, or?
Oh, I got a score. I'll call it Eagles by 10. I don't want to. I know I'm going over the spread, but I know they played in the regular season. The scoreline was something like that. I think it's going to depend a lot on Danny. If Danny Dimes has a game like he did last week against the Vikings, I'm going to say Eagles by a field goal. I might still call the Eagles to win in that case. But if he has a game like he did last week, I think Eagles by a field goal or less. Like that sort of range, but still close. Eagles. If he has an average game like he had, if he pick out the average game he had this season, if he has that game, I think they lose by 10. It's a lot is frankly on Daniel Jones, I think, in this matchup, because I feel like I can expect certain other things, but I think it's going to be, frankly, I don't know a lot. I don't know what to expect, but that's my sort of vibe. If Danny Dimes has a great game, I think they barely lose. If he has an average game, I think they lose by a touchdown, 8 points, 9 points, that sort of range.
Yeah, I mean, so I generally agree. To look back, these teams played twice. We're going to throw out the Week 18 game because it doesn't even matter.
That's true. Yeah.
Giants were resting all their starters. Basically, in that they played in Week 14, so not too long ago. Jalen was actually still playing. And this game, let me just tell you what the New York Giants did on offense in this game, or what the Eagles did on defense, however you want to look at it. New York Giants drives: punt, turnover on downs, punt, TD, punt, turnover on downs. Meanwhile, Eagles drives on offense: TD, blocked punt, okay, which gave the Giants one of their TDs, pretty much. Then after that, field goal, TD, punt, TD. Okay, we're talking about 7 out of 9 drives are scores. 5 of the 7 are TDs. Okay, this is a 48-22 routing when both these teams were healthy just a few weeks. Well, I guess at this point it's over a month ago. But
yeah,
I mean, this is the Eagles have slowed down a little bit, I feel like, but it's also like they didn't have Jalen, so the things were wonky. And so like Minshew was in, it was a little bit weird. But Eagles, they score pretty much with everybody. They're the third highest scoring team in the league. I expect them to score against maybe the worst defense left in the playoffs is the Giants, which you wouldn't think, because you'd say they're kind of gritty. They don't give up a lot of points. But if you look at any metric in comparison to the other 7 teams still in, only Kansas City really is close in terms of where they are defensively. And Kansas City seems to be slightly better. That doesn't tell the whole story, but Giants, I just don't think that, like you said, I don't think they have enough. I'm going to take Eagles to cover the spread 38-27. That's what I got.
27. Yeah. What is it? That's 11 points.
11. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see 11. I think it'll be closer than that Week 14 game for one thing, the Eagles maybe being colder, stuff like that. I mean, also my whole bye week sort of thing. But also I just have I'd hope anyway a playoff game would be closer, divisional round like than that. But yeah, I think that's definitely a good point. I forgot about this game. I think I blocked it out of my memory. No, I actually remember seeing this game. And that's this game, even though I didn't say it and I called it much, much closer than that, I did have this game in my mind. I forgot the scoreline, but I remembered that the Eagles, like it was a convincing win.
Dominated them, really, on pretty much
dominating.
Yeah,
I know. That's I was thinking, looking for the right word.
Yeah. I'll start on this next game here.
Yeah, you should. Yeah.
Cincinnati Bengals are going to the Buffalo Bills. Now, whether that should be fair or not, that's a whole different discussion, which we probably will get into.
Oh yeah, I forgot it. I forgot about
season. But yes, they are going to Buffalo. I hear the tickets are for the seats up in the nosebleeds are around $300 a pop. So if that's what the experience you're looking to have in the cold, but the Bills are 4.5-point favorites Sunday at 3 p.m. This should be a classic, and hopefully it's the game that we were hoping to get on Monday night a couple weeks ago. Here's my take on this game.
It's gonna snow. It's gonna snow.
It's gonna snow. Yeah. Wow. Everyone knows I don't look at the forecast.
Big snow. I know. That's what I thought of it because the other week. No, I'm not sure. Like again, this is not it might be 1 inch of snow. It might be nothing. We don't know. But
hey, listen, we love a little snow battle, a divisional classic against an Ohio team in a Western New York. I mean, that would be a blast. But yeah, no, I mean, the way that I look at it is last week, the Bengals and the Bills both struggled against opponents that they should have easily beat. I don't know. I feel like the Ravens, not only like record-wise, but just in general at this point, they're only on their second string quarterback and not their third. And their defense is better than Miami's. I think that they have better coaching than Miami, although both last week that McDaniels and Harbaugh
management
looked like a mess at the end of games. But I think, Harbaugh's a Super Bowl winning coach and McDaniels is Brandon Staley with better marketing, in my opinion. So I think that I'm going to say the Bengals probably looked slightly better last week, although they didn't look great. Neither did the Bills. The Bills, we've seen this. They have won close games this season, but they have not been good in close games. They basically blow you out or they lose close. I mean, that's what we've seen. And so I'm not anticipating the Bills blowing out this team because the Bengals defense, it's sneakily good. People like to hype up the Bills defense, but if you look at a lot of the statistics and what they're giving up points, how many yards they're giving up, the Bengals defense actually pretty good. And so I think this is going to be not a super high scoring game, probably an average scoring game. My whole problem at this point is Josh Allen, right? Josh Allen is going to make some incredible plays, but we don't know what he's going to do in terms of if he's going to throw picks. Is he going to, have a fumble? He's a bit of a loose cannon right now, and he's been playing like that basically for half a season, essentially, maybe even more. And it's to the point where a couple months ago, when I go and see friends who are Buffalo Bills fans, they're like, "Yeah, Josh Allen looks good. Hey, he'll clean up those interceptions, but he's one of the best QBs in the league." Now it's to the point where they come out of this win, but it's like, man, Josh Allen, he cannot play like that. If he's going to play like that, we cannot win against better opponents. We're not going to go to the Super Bowl if Josh Allen's going to play like that. It seems like even the crazy Buffalo fans / bandwagon fans have sort of come to the realization that, if Josh Allen is going to play that loose with the ball and be a gunslinger, I mean, yeah, he could throw for 5 TDs, but he can also throw for 2-3 picks and lose a game for you. Brett Favre fashion, right? So I'm going to go ahead and take the Bengals in a close one, 27-26 Bengals. What do you got, Jack?
I think I agree with everything you said. And yeah, I mean, this again, I originally picked the Bengals here. After watching those weeks, I also agree. I think that this Ravens team, even with their backup, was going to be a rougher opponent than the Dolphins. And that they both struggled. The fact that, Buffalo struggled against a weaker opponent, and I would say did not have a particularly convincing Week 18 win. Again, I'm not going to harp on that for too long, but at the very least, you could say that was not a particularly convincing win. It took 2 kickoff returns for a touchdown to win, right? That does not happen every week. Whereas the Bengals, and I know the Bengals would have had a close win against the Ravens Week 18. Or not close, but they had a more convincing win, I felt like, that week. And I just feel like I just like the Bengals more. I don't know. I pretty much for the reasons you said. That's why I don't have much else to say other than highlight highlight that the Bills again struggled against what I think is a weaker opponent. And I called the Bengals to win even before that. I just think they match up. I just feel like the Bengals would match up well in this game.
Mm-hmm. There you go. So you still feel good about all your picks from last week so far?
I think I do. Yeah. So far.
Well, there you go. And here he is. He's still sticking to his 6-0 last week, hoping to go 4-0. This would be crazy if you start running the ladder here. I mean, this was.
I should have put money down on that. Then
I know that would have been a
put
crazy
money down on the full
parlay.
ladder. Ooh.
March Madness
entire playoff bracket. Yeah, March Madness probably.
Okay, so now
I said that's what they should have done for the playoffs. Make it one big March Madness. Bracket, But I want to see the Texans. I want to see the Texans play the Chiefs. Okay, I want to see that on national television. Okay, continue.
We're gonna go to. This is, I think, the big one. This is supposed to be the closest matchup. It's against the two teams that had the two convincing wins of the wild card weekend. You've got the Dallas Cowboys traveling to San Francisco to face the 49ers Sunday at 6:30. This is to end the divisional weekend, to wrap it all up. And this is I think that is it 3 points? I don't have the in front of me. But
I don't know the spread either.
I think it's under 4.5. It's supposed to be the closest of the weekend right now, I believe. And so, I guess I'll just open this up. A couple of things I want to highlight about these teams. The two best teams in terms of turnover differential in the league. San Francisco plus 13, that's number 1. Dallas plus 10, that's number 2. Something to point out there is that Dallas turns the ball over more and takes the ball away more. San Francisco takes the ball away less, but also gives it up less. But they just happen to be teams that, they have high, basically
they get a lot of turnovers.
They get a lot of turnovers, right? And so I'm not sure if we're going to see what's going to kind of come to fruition in that, in terms of, will Dallas turn the ball over a lot? That could make sense. Or could it just wash out? Not sure. I did some deep diving here, guys, because listen, I don't want to keep coming out here as a Dallas Cowboys fan on record picking against them. Okay. So I'm talking about deep dive. Okay. I went back to, I don't know if you guys remember this, but there's a guy named Jimmy Garoppolo who was playing for this 49ers team about 2 months ago. Okay. And before him, there's a guy named Trey Lance. We won't even get into that. Okay. But while Trey Lance and Jimmy G were playing, they would lose. This San Francisco 49ers team were losing to teams like the Chicago Bears and the Atlanta Falcons. You can go look it up, right? And so to one extent, I say to myself, this 49ers team is definitely gettable. But that was before a guy named Purdy showed up, okay? Brock Purdy. So I went back and said, where has San Francisco had trouble? Saints. Okay, 13-0. They won 13-0. The defense pitched a shutout, right? Okay, thing about that game, Jimmy G was playing, okay? He didn't play particularly well. I'm throwing it out. Forget about it, okay? 13 points. Hey, listen, if we could hold them to 13 points, I think Dallas will definitely, easily win this game. I just don't think that they're going to do that, because since Brock showed up, they're only averaging 33 points a game or something crazy. You can look at it. It's ridiculous how much that they're putting up with McCaffrey, like we talked about last week. Ayuk, Debo, Kittle. It's too much, right? I'm anticipating the exact same thing. Although the Dallas defense could, in theory, slow them down, I think that they're going to give up around average of what San Francisco is scoring. I would anticipate that. And so I'm gonna assume that the only way Dallas can win this is if they score enough. So have we seen that? Have we seen people be able to score on San Francisco's defense? Yes, but it's a little bit of a mixed bag, and the most we've seen really is the Raiders recently. A couple weeks ago, the Raiders and Jarrett Stidham actually took them to overtime and scored plenty on them. So I did a deep dive into that game, and really the Raiders did it all, did pretty much everything well. They ran the ball well on San Francisco. Particularly, they threw the ball well, and that's the thing. I said this last week. San Francisco will give up big plays. I mean, Literally, Hufanga got beat for a 60-yard TD from Devontae Adams. Jarrett Stidham to Devontae Adams in that game in a shootout, right? And he's a Pro Bowl cornerback.
He's a first team All Pro safety.
And so basically, the Raiders didn't do anything fancy. They just stayed ahead of the chains. They didn't have a lot of penalties, didn't make a lot of mistakes, and they were in this game with Jarrett Stidham. Why? Because it was a shootout, not because they were able to stop the San Francisco's 49ers offense with Brock Purdy, because that's not something that people do. I'm sorry. I don't make the rules. I just watch the games, right? And so the question is, can Dallas score enough points? I think the answer is no. Unfortunately, I just don't think that, with considering how good the San Francisco's 49ers defense is, considering how Dallas plays under pressure, knowing that Dak Prescott tends to throw a lot of interceptions, especially this year. He's going to be under pressure. This is going to be it's going to be a lot harder matchup than against the Bucs. So I just don't anticipate him having that type of game. Also, even if it's close, we're working with a kicker who went 1 for 5 on PATs. That is the nail in the coffin for me. He might miss another 4 PATs if he's still on the roster, or you're bringing in a rookie. I feel really bad about this, and I think that Dallas could win if they score 35, they might win. I just don't think that they're going to score 35. If they score 42, 45, I think they'll win. I got San Francisco 38-27. I feel bad about it, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell everybody. I'm sorry. I don't feel good about it either.
And here's what I think. Here's what I think. I think about these two teams, and I think everything you said, great, right? I'd add a couple of things. For one thing, you're even forgetting. Yeah, he had a clean game last game, but who knows what Mike McCarthy's going to do, right? I'm putting it to him. No, but him and more the team, and like that sort of discipline, right? The thing you've been hammering on all season, that sort of preparedness, disciplinedness. Yeah, there were only 2 penalties last week. Let's see what happens this next week. And because of that, and the reason why I would never give you too much about picking the Cowboys, picking the 49ers here, is we've seen this episode before. This is a rerun. It's a rerun from last season when the 49ers beat the Cowboys in that close game. And I'm going to be honest, I got a feeling this 49ers team might be better than the one last season. Last season, they were kind of a dark horse coming up. They were a dark horse. This season, they're a favorite. Some people had them as a top 2 team in the NFL. Those people being me. And that's the sort of thing. That's the sort of thing that this team. I think 49ers are better, whereas I think Zeke's older. Micah Parsons had such an amazing season last season. He had a great season this season, but I don't think he's like necessarily grown. It's not like he's a big step because he was already so good to begin with. But it's like I don't know how much their young players improved through the draft compared to Zeke on his last 40 carries. I think is 70 yards.
Yeah, he's become just the guy who can get 1 yard.
Right, he's a guy
he
can block. Yardage. He can get short down yardage, and he can block. Right, and it's still value there, but that's definitely a drop. There's definitely a drop off there. They don't have Amari Cooper on this team. Is Gallup in? Is Gallup? Yeah, Gallup's playing, right? Well, he's in, so that's good. But I think the comparison to say the Raiders game is I think Dak is much better than Jarrett Stidham. But I think Devontae Adams, right? There's a reason they traded him, gave him a massive contract, right? And he's a big part. He had 153 yards, 2 touchdowns. Darren Waller, I'll say Schultz, the game he had last night compared to Darren Waller. For the sake of argument, I'll even those guys out, but it's still Josh Jacobs is amazing. Yeah. Devontae Adams is amazing, and the shootout thing. The one thing I'll say about the defense and about the Cowboys' defense and the ability that they might have is part of how this team works is they're also not asking Brock Purdy to to have these Herculean throws. I should have gotten some advanced stats on this or something because they're out there somewhere. But I wonder what his average time before a pass is. I'd wonder how long he holds the ball before throwing it, because this team has a lot of sort of yards after catch run game aspect to it that I don't think the Cowboys will be able to handle. And I think Deebo Samuel being a part of it in the run game, but I mean yards after catch. There was a sort of 5-yard pass in the game. I think the Seahawks game. 5-yard pass, Debo takes it for 65 yards and a touchdown. That sort of thing where is it neutralizes the big, what I feel like is probably the strongest part of the Dallas Cowboys defense, which is their defensive line.
Yep.
On that sort of quick pass, that's a quick pass. Like, it doesn't matter as much that Micah Parsons, who's going to have to be going against potentially the best tackle in the league, by the way, is going to it's going to neutralize some of that pass rush a bit if you can get the ball out quickly, as well as having, I would say, not even, we're going to talk about Christian McCaffrey in a second, not even talking about him. You got 3 great offensive weapons in Deebo Samuel, George Kittle, and Brandon Ayuk. I think Brandon is their name. Yep. You have 3 good options versus the Bucs had good options, but Brady
is no Purdy.
It's a very stop. No. Like what I mean is the scheme of the game, the scheme that the 49ers run, and how quickly I think they'll be able to get the ball off in situations is going to be different. I don't think Purdy won't be nearly as afraid of pressure being less than half of Brady's age. He's not going to be as afraid of getting hit. He might stay more confident. I don't think he's been missing that many wide open throws so far, whereas Brady's been missing some wide open throws. And that's the sort of thing I think that short pass game will work. And then we got to talk about Christian McCaffrey, right? From a running, you said it yourself just earlier. They've been getting hurt on the run game all season long.
Yep.
That's how they lost to the Packers, who aren't even in the playoffs, was this run game. I think Christian McCaffrey and that offensive line, George Kittle's an amazing blocking tight end, probably best blocking tight end in the league sort of thing. The sort of threat they'll have them play out on those sorts of plays, but then still have Deebo Samuel. There's the dynamicness of the 49ers offense, and that Christian McCaffrey has himself in the rushing and, I said it with Deebo Samuel, yards after catch, short pass game. I don't think that they're the biggest strength of that team is going to be able to reward them as much as it could against a pocket passing, 0 running team like the Bucs, who haven't ran much all season and have been a pocket passing team this whole time, or against if they were going to play other sort of pocket passing teams, which frankly I don't think there are any other in the NFC playoffs. But if they were going to play the Bengals, if they were going to play the Jaguars, if they were going to play, I'll even say the Chiefs. Right, because Mahomes can run, but it's not like he can run the same way Jalen Hurts, Danny Dimes, Josh Allen can run. You know, I guess that's the kind of end of that. I think that, again, this is why I'm picking the 49ers. I believe I have them going all the way. I don't think I picked the Super Bowl, but I have them going to the Super Bowl. I think that. And this is not me saying I think Brock Purdy's is all of that. Like I definitely could buy people having question marks. His stat line may be looking better than his play. Blah 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 blah. It's all true valid complaints and whatever. But I don't think it's going to matter in this game. I think that the 49ers team wise is just so good. I think team wise they're the best team in the league in terms of talent on the roster. Dare I say by far. That's why they're a quarterback away. And if Brock Purdy can continue doing what he's been doing, which is win games like Jimmy G, but win games and not make mistakes the way Jimmy G would make mistakes, then, I mean, all he's got to do is put the ball in other people's hands, right? Which is obviously everything that all quarterbacks do. But like him, like this team is perfect for a player like Brock Purdy to come in and have a great and be able to not mess things up.
Right.
So even if there's complaints, that I should have reversed that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I think we agree that there are ways for the Cowboys to win this. It would just have to sort of be shocking, right? Not only would they have to play very good offensively, suddenly Purdy would have to have a collapse, which he very well could, but he'd have to throw some picks, right? The defense would have to play good for Dallas, right? It's just cascading, right?
Run poorly. They have to run poorly.
Yeah,
they'd have to
what
do
are the
run
chances
poorly,
of that, right? Like that San Fran isn't going to get 200 on the ground. I mean, it's going to be a clinic. So that's, I think. Do you have a score for this one or
a score line? No, but I think it'll be 49ers by 7-10.
Yeah,
I would not say more than 10. I wouldn't give it to them more than 10. But I think they cover. I think they win by a score. I don't think I could say 14 or any more than 10, just because I think, like you said, like the Cowboys are still a good team, and they have, like you said, they have ways to win. If they get this game into a shootout, Dak Prescott is, in all likelihood, Brock Purdy's only played so many games. He's in all likelihood a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. Right, I'll say it now until he proves me wrong, and maybe he very well could if they go on to win a Super Bowl or something. But like, right, I'd still take Dak, interceptions and all, so I could still see that shootout potential.
Yep. Yeah, I think that just to highlight our picks here, obviously Jack went 6-0, I went 3-3 last week. We got all the same picks, so something's got to give here, boys. Okay. Something has to give. To wrap this up, I just do want to point to something as well, sort of attached to the Cowboys, but more just big picture stuff. We talked about this in the last episode yesterday after the divisional round, after the weekend games, I should say. But there was a large amount of the officials, especially in the Jacksonville versus Chargers game, really were letting them play, so to speak. And the defense, like for the Chargers, was really getting after the wide receivers of Jacksonville. There was plenty of DPI that we've seen called all year that was not called in that game. And I wonder how if that is going to change at all this week. And I wonder if part of the Cowboys' success in terms of not like having only 2 penalties was simply because it was the playoffs and the refs were coming off the whistle a little bit. Now I saw plenty of penalties still. I mean, I saw a ton of penalties for like linemen downfield, like, or whatever that one is.
Oh, I saw all that. Yeah.
And stuff like that. There are stuff, but I feel like the delay of game, the way it is officiated is so dumb. And it's like, clearly there's delay of games happening, but because the ref doesn't see it in time for the ball, like there's like the way that is being done is foolish, right? So there's that happening and everything. We're aware that there is going to be inconsistency. I just wonder that maybe they decide, hey, we want to play it a little bit tighter, like the regular
Cowboys
season,
buff.
and the Cowboys go back to, they're getting called on a lot of holding, DPI type of thing, because that's what the Cowboys do.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and look at a lot of plays to see if that was actually happening versus if they were actually just playing like good coverages and not like fouling, right? So like I'm not sure if that's the case. I just would wonder this week.
I don't think it was that week because Brady was missing all sorts of like that game, even the short routes where it was clearly open, he'd miss those sometimes. So yeah, that'll be at some point this offseason. We may get to do a Brady episode.
Right.
No, not just Brady, but
I'm sure we'll have
not just Brady.
In the offseason, when we have tons of time, we can do
tons of time. It'll be so drama rich.
Patriots,
I can't wait. Oh, I can't draft dives. I can't wait for the draft, the deep draft dives. The Lamar Jackson to the Patriots alert. Alert.
You might be doing that draft dive and the Patriots dive. I might be up at the boat, looking down, watching for sharks.
After all that money you just won, after betting the house on the Cowboys to win it all.
I'm betting the house
because folks, it's their year.
Yeah, I'm betting the house on your picks, which are also my picks. So that's what I'm doing this weekend. And 710 Sports, the rest of you should as well. Jackie, got anything before we close this out?
No, don't think I do.
All right. Well, you know what? I want to thank everybody for watching and listening. We had a couple of videos do really well the last couple of weeks. Keep that up. If you like what you see, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Hit the like button. If you're doing the audio podcast, make sure you follow so you get notifications when we upload. We'll be back next week to talk about the results of the divisional round and to look forward to the championship games. Thanks for watching episode 28 of 710 Sports with
Jack
and Jared. We'll see you next time.